Hello everyone, I am Siddharthan. In this video, let's understand how we can create dev branch in a GitHub repository and clone it to our local machine. So this will be the agenda for today's video and let's get started. So this is the GitHub repository that we will be working on, and here I've created a private repository with some sample file, readme and git ignore. So I've made a video on this. I'll give the link for that video in this video description. You can check that out if you're not sure on how to create a GitHub repository. So let's say that we have this GitHub repository and then we have a main branch. So you can click on this drop down that says main, and here you can type the name of the branch that you have to create. So let's say that we want to create a dev branch. So just type in dev. So it would say that there are no branches as dev. So we want to create branch dev from main. So this will create a branch called as dev, which basically copies all the files that we have in this main. So here I'll type in this dev and click on this create branch dev from main. So now this has created this dev branch. So I have a main branch, which is the default branch, and I have the dev branch. So the purpose of creating this dev branch is that, so let's say that you are working on a project and some code is in the production or in some main, environment where it's hosted. So that will be your main branch, and we shouldn't make direct changes to the files and codes and all those aspects that's present in a main branch. So what we would do is we will create or basically a copy of the main branch. Let's say we call this as dev, where all the development happens, and then we would kind of merge this dev branch to the main branch, so that we are not directly making any changes to the main branch, rather creating a different branch and working on this. And the other variation is that some people also prefer creating another branch from this dev branch and then working on that. So let's say that there are like several people in a team, and let's say there are a couple people and they are working on different features. So one person would create a feature called, let's say, feature one from this dev branch, work on it, and the other person is, let's say, is working on a different feature. So they would create another branch called as feature two from this dev branch. So once they are done, so both will merge this branch separately to this dev, and then that will be merged to the main branch. So these are some of the aspects. So the main takeaway is that we shouldn't work directly on the main branch. Okay, so now let's say that we have created this dev branch. Now we have to connect it to our local machine. So for this, you either have to set up your GitHub with passwords and all those things, or you need to validate it via SSH. So SSH is a more convenient way because you don't have to put your username, password every time you are kind of accessing this. So instead, you can just have a short passphrase. So it's a kind of separate process. So again, I've made a video for that as well, how to connect your GitHub account with your local machine with SSH. You can refer to that video. You can find the link in the description. So let's say that once you're configured your account in your local machine, so you can go ahead and clone this dev branch to this machine. So for that, let's say I'm opening a folder. So I'll create a new folder and call this as GitHub repos. Okay, so here I'm going to clone this repo, not the main branch but the dev branch. So here I can right click here, go to this terminal. So all this step would require you to install git, configure ssh and so on. So please refer to that video and complete all those steps before doing this if you're not sure how to do this ssh thing. Okay, so once all this ssh thing is done and we have git installed and so on, so I'll say git clone -b dev, and now I'm going to select this code and go to SSH because we are connecting via SSH, and copy this. Okay, and paste it over here. So you can just put Control V. So what we are basically telling here is clone this particular repository, but I want to clone the dev branch. So to mention a particular branch, you can say -b. So -b basically represents branch, and you can say dev. So if you remove this -b and dev, so it will clone the default branch, which is the main branch. So if you want to clone the dev branch, you have to say git clone -b dev and the name of the repository. Again, if you are using SSH, you would use this link. If you are using HTTPS with passwords and so on, you would use this. So we are using SSH, so I'll select this. And now I'll run this one. So this will clone the dev branch to my machine. So here I have to give the passphrase that I've created in the SSH step. So I'll type in. So you won't see what I'm typing or anything there because this is a terminal, right? So because of that. And now, as you can see, this has pulled all the code from this dev branch, not from the main branch, but from the dev branch, and it has stored in this GitHub repos directory. So it's now present in sample GitHub repo. So now what you can do is close this terminal and open the sample GitHub repo. So this is where we need to write our GitHub commands to push this and so on. So here you will also have like some of the hidden files that kind of says .git, which is basically your connection details, and all those are stored there. So now I'll just click on right click here, open this in terminal. So now I'm inside this repository, sample GitHub repos. So I can just say git branch. So this will tell me what's the branch that I'm in. So it says dev because we have cloned the dev branch. So if you haven't used that -b dev, so this would have shown main. So make sure that you are using -b dev, or basically the name of the branch that you have. So if you have a different branch, let's say testing, you need to mention git clone -b testing and then put your SSH link for that repository and so on. So now let's say that you have cloned your repository and you have all the files here, and now you want to uh, add another file. So I'll just say create a text document and call this as local underscore file. So this is a text document, which is a txt file, and I'll just say test local file. So save this. Again, open your terminal, which is in this sample GitHub repo, the repository that we have cloned. So here I can say git space add space dot. So this will add all the files that we have created newly, and basically all the changes. So if you have made some changes in this previous file, if you have added a folder, so all those changes will be taken into consideration, which we will push later. So type in git space add space dot, or even you can also make changes in the specific file. So instead of adding all these changes, I can just say git add local file. So that will add only that local file, and other changes you did won't be considered. But I'll just go with git add dot, which is for all changes. So after this git add dot, you can press enter, and now you can type in git status. So this will list all the changes that you have done and all the changes that we are going to do to our repository that we have seen in the browser. So it says that we are in this branch of origin slash dev, the dev branch, and it says that changes to be committed. So new file local file.txt. So it says that we have created a new file called as local file.txt. So the next step is we have to commit it. So this git status is not a compulsory thing, because this is just for a reference to make sure that we are committing the correct changes. So git add is compulsory, git add dot is compulsory. That will that's going to push all the changes. And then we have git status, git commit. So I'll say git commit -m and put double quotes here and say what's the change that you are kind of making. So here I'll say created local file. Okay. So git commit -m in double quotes say created a local file. So one file changed, created this, all those things and so on. And the final step is say git push origin. This origin is coming from here, and what's the name of the branch that you are in, dev. So if you're not in dev branch, if you're in main branch, you have to say git push origin dev, but we are kind of in dev branch. I'm saying git push origin dev. So these are the four main commands. So one is git space add space dot, and then we have git commit em thing and git push origin. So these are the three compulsory things. And if you want to see the changes made, you can just type in git status. So I'll press enter here. So this should create a local file.txt in our development branch. So we can verify that. So I'll press enter. So this asks for my passphrase. So I'll put this in, and all the changes are made. So now I'll open my browser. So it says dev add recent pushes on September 10. So I'll refresh this. And here you can see you have a local file.txt which has the content test local file, which is the one that we have created, but main branch won't have it because we made the change in the development branch. As you can see, we don't have this local file. So if you want to make this change in the main branch as well, we would do a pull request. Maybe I'll explain that in a different video, but this is the aspect that we want to cover today. So this is how you can create a new branch, connect it to your local machine, make some changes and push it so that your repository, that particular branch, is displaying all these changes. So you can also go to this commits. So we have 3 commits, right? So you can click that, and this is the latest file. So created a local file is the commit that we have done, right? And you have some number alphanumeric combination. Click on that and you will see all the changes that we have done. So it says that we have added a file local file.txt and added this. So all this changes can be seen here, and if you want to revert some changes, you can do that as well. Okay. So this is how you can create a development branch in GitHub, make some changes connected to your local machine and push it back to your GitHub repository. Okay, so that is all from my side, and I hope that this is helpful to you. I'll see you in the next upload. Thanks for watching.